girl Brittany here, and welcome to BrittPositivePodcast. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope everyone is doing amazing. To keep up with us here, you can follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and you can listen to us on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, and Anchor. Now, if you are listening to us on YouTube, then click that subscribe button and notification bell as well to get notified to see when we have posted. And if you're listening to us on Spotify, Apple, or Anchor, then you can click that follow button to join the Brit Positive Fam Bam and download this podcast so you can listen to it on the go. All the links are down below so you can join in spreading the positivity with us. Now, let's get into our Brit Positive quote of the day, which is, start every day with hope in your heart. I thought that was very beautiful when I found it, so I hope it encourages you guys today to just start very hopeful today, okay? Also, you can check out our merch in the link down below to show your support in looking for the positive and ignoring the negative, so check it out. Now let's get into our topic of the day, shall we? Our topic of the day is adulting part 2. Is staying home truly adulting is the main question and debate we have going on in our show today. So there is this assumption that kids won't be maturing if they still be living at home with their parents, and it shows as if they're not taking more responsibility or becoming independent. Sometimes in cultures, things, for some family members or so, it's okay, it's acceptable for kids to stay home until, they are married and then they can leave the nest in a sense. But other places look down upon it like, no, once they're 18 they need to get out the house, so I just wanted to talk with a few guest co-hosts of mine today just about it, and the pros and cons and the positive of staying home with parents and the positive of even living on your own. And are we all adulting together still, or some are kind of getting ahead of us than others just because we're still living with our parents? So I would love to get into that discussion, and I hope we can all just, listen, have a good convo, and enjoy the topic today. And just know, whatever your circumstance is, it's not permanent, and you will eventually move out when you can. And if you're already actually living on your own, great. I hope it's great. I hope you're enjoying it. And it's all about life, guys. It's all about living life, and we're all in a different path, so let's just enjoy it. So let's get into it. To get into this topic, I'd like to invite my guest co-host, Miranda. She's been on this show before, but we are so happy to have her again. Welcome.
Hi.
Hi, girl. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm so happy for you to be on the show with me today discussing this interesting topic.
I'm so happy to be back. Thanks for having me.
Honestly, it's been a pleasure of mine. Just to get into it with you, you already know about this whole topic about adulting. Like, the term adulting, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And, there was just an interesting, debate thing about it, whether or not for those who are to be considered those who are adulting in society now, does it count if they live at home with their parents? Are they experiencing the same adulting things that those who live on their own?
Well, I like to think so, just because I live with my parents, and I still have to do tasks that others would do while they're living on their own, like put away the dishes, clean up messes, do my own laundry. Because, parents don't do that for you once you turn older. I have to vacuum. I have to clean up the counters. I literally have to, if there's something in the hallway, I have to move it, so nobody trips over it. So I think it is. It's basically I have to do the same things I would do if I wasn't at home, if I wasn't living at home.
Right. I feel, personally for me, I live with my parents, and I don't know. I'm not taking this away from anyone who lives on their own, because I know it's that's a lot of work itself as well. But I don't know. I feel like I do a lot more work if I'm living with my family, because you double the dishes, right? Double the dishes, double the laundry. I'm doing stuff that's not even my stuff. I feel when you're living on your own, you're just doing you. You're not doing anything but taking care of yourself. I don't have that much laundry to do, but it's if I'm doing everybody's laundry, it's going to take me some time.
Yeah, I agree. Or if I'm putting away the dishes and people are eating and putting it in the sink, I have to put those dishes away too, even though they're not mine.
Right. And, there was this whole thing about okay, for those who live on their own, they have to be cooking for themselves, cleaning, doing laundry, grocery shopping, paying bills, planning, working, and doing more. And it's they're just taking responsibility of things they have to get done. I did look at the fact that for me personally, I don't see myself doing half of that stuff because it's like someone's already doing it for me. Like, they just do it because they're doing it and I don't do it. But I'm sure if I'm living on my own, I'm going to be, like, doing all of that. But it just kind of shows the difference between, like, you know, those who stay at home and those who don't. And how, like, are we missing out on being independent if we are still living with our parents? Like, you know, like, is that something where I'm like, oh, I guess I'm not independent?
So. Just also, too, like, my case, I was having a discussion with my friend today, actually funny, and she was telling me how when she cleans, because she lives on her own, and she has, like, a family, like, a boyfriend and a kid, she likes everything to be neat and tidy, and I was like, oh, okay, like, I get it. And she literally said to me, but you still live at home, so it's different for you. And I was like, but how? I have a room. I clean it the same way. I pay my cell phone bill. I pay my insurance, but I still live at home and pay those things. Isn't that adulting too? Like, just because I'm not the woman of the house per se, you know, like I'm not, and that sounds so sexist, but women generally do take over, you know, cleaning and cooking. But, like, just because I have a mom to do that doesn't mean I don't do it myself.
Right.
It means I just get help. Or she gets help.
Right. But I think it goes down to this whole thing about, like, taking responsibility for yourself. And I think we do that, but we don't do as much as those who are living completely on their own, like paying mortgages and things like that. I guess that's
true,
like where we differ in that sense.
Yeah, I don't pay the mortgage. I couldn't even think about rent right now because, like, that's easy for me, right? Because I don't pay rent. I live with my parents.
Exactly. Like, that's the one thing we don't.
With their parents pay rent.
Yeah, some people actually do that. So it's like, would we say that they're getting that independence as well by paying rent? But, like, they're paying their parents to live there. Like, I don't know how that works.
But if you think about it, though, like I pay my insurance and I pay my phone bill, right? So realistically, after my paycheck, I have my own responsibility to take those out of my account to pay for it. So isn't that kind of like the same? Like, I'm not paying rent. Like, I don't have a mortgage. I don't have kids to pay for. Like, you know, but that's still something I'm adulting about. I'm not letting my mom pay for it.
But I think, you know, what's another point that I saw today? It's just that, you know, for those who live on their own, they take full responsibility for themselves because they can only rely on themselves for survival. And I feel as for those who don't live on their own, can't really say that we have taken that survival kind of mindset as yet, because we still go, I got somebody in my corner, like, in this house, as against those who are like, it's me or no one. Or
in, like, you know, I always know dinner's gonna be made for me when I walk in the door, as opposed to other people who live on their own. They have to make their own food. They have to figure out their own dinner, where I know at like 6 p.m. I'm gonna have chicken or something waiting for me.
Right. But then I just feel like, define independence then, because is that being independent where it's like you honestly are left on your own for survival, and like that's when you have to be independent and do everything for yourself? Or is it like being independent where it's like I take up some responsibility at home, or is that still being a child just doing typical chores? Because, like, okay, for example, for me, like, okay, I live with my parents, but I just don't sit on my butt and do, like, you know, chores and stuff around the house. Like if I get money from my job, like, I'm giving it to my mom, like, to help, you know. I feel like that's me being a grown up. I feel like a grown up doing that, you know, like giving my parents money. But that's also kind of
contributing. You're contributing your income to the household you live in.
Yeah.
So, like, why was that not being independent?
Right. Like that. I feel like a grown somebody being able to be like, hey, mom, I got you. Like, here's the money, do whatever, you know, because
right.
I don't like sitting on my butt and not doing anything. Like, that to me is not being an adult or adulting at any way, in any form. But if I'm able to do something, not only chore wise, because like chore wise I feel it's something I kind of have to do regardless, but being able to contribute in my home in that way, like at least getting groceries or giving my mom my check, I feel like an adult that way. I don't know, that's just me.
No, I agree, because think about it. If you didn't have a job, right, and you sat in the basement all day and literally stared at the walls while your mother did your laundry, she cooked for you, she cleaned for you, that's technically, you know, that's being a child in a sense. Like, that's not having a responsibility. You don't have a responsibility to do anything around the house.
Yeah.
Whereas us, we have things to do. I got to clean before my mom gets home. And not just because, like, I'm going to get grounded, just because it's something I'm doing because I'm living in our house.
Do you feel it's
I
like
give her my money.
Do you feel like it's like your responsibility though? Like, do you think like I am
Yeah.
responsible for so and so in this house? Like, this is my duty now as a young adult living with your parents.
It is, yeah. Because if I was on my own, right, I'd probably still have to do the same thing. So why would I treat it any differently just because I have my mom, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I like to contribute. So, like, and I guess, like, some parents, like, after an age, like, this is how I see it. Like, my parents are doing me a favor by letting me live here.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And I know that's not the way for all, but my parents are like, you know, they could have easily been like, Miranda, you're 25, go get a house.
Mm-hmm.
Go get your own apartment.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you're old enough.
Mm-hmm.
But no, and I kind of respect them in that sense. So I like to contribute. I like to here's some money.
Mm-hmm.
You know, here's, you know, I vacuumed today. I did the dishes. I did all the things that you would have normally done.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But here I am.
My next question for you is like, does it look bad? Because I think this used to be a thing way back in the day where like if you're in your 20s and still living with your parents, it's such a bad look. Like, oh, you still have some growing up to do kind of thing. As against now, it's like you look at it, not a lot of people our age can afford to buy a place of their own or like even rent a place because it's just ridiculous how the money thing works in this society. Yeah. And lack of jobs. And don't get me started on since COVID happened, you know what I mean? So it's like a lot of people in their 20s and going up in their 30s going back, moving in with their parents. So it's like, what can you do? So my whole thing is, does it look bad? Like looking at gender wise, let's even break it to gender. Like if a girl is to stay home up until she's like 29, 30, 31, 32, does it look bad as against like a guy who's staying with his parents at 29, 30, 31, 32 and further up?
Well, it depends. Like right now, like you said, right now it's hard for people our age and even older, even like 30. Mm-hmm. You know, they need like a roommate or they need something or other because they can't just afford living on their own. Mm-hmm. And I think before COVID, not gonna lie, I think it did look bad because people, like society standards, like people our age are supposed to move out. We're supposed to get our own place, get our own job, start our own lives. You know what I mean? Like people are even starting families and stuff. Mm-hmm. And like we're generally by society, we're deemed women are supposed to be out of here.
Yeah.
But and before even with males, like I imagine like, you know, if women went on dates with men and they still live with their parents, women would be like, what are you doing? Mm-hmm. You know? Mm-hmm. But now I think past COVID, and I think because of how bad it, like the market is for housing, mm-hmm. I think it's not bad anymore. And I think people like when like people I know consider me lucky to be living at home. Mm-hmm. I don't have the stress of going to pay for a place or, you know, getting kicked out of my tenants because they can't afford to keep me there kind of thing. Like, people assume I'm lucky because I get to be here. Mm-hmm. And I don't think right now it looks bad, but, like, okay, in 10 years when this pandemic is gone, hopefully, and people are still living at home, I'm sure it'll go back to the way it was.
Yeah.
But right now, at this moment, I don't think so.
I don't think it looks bad now because of, you know, everybody, if anything, wants to be with family during this time just because, you know, COVID's so unpredictable. So I don't think it looks bad right now. But like you said, we'll see what happens in the future if it's like you're 29 and living at home still. Like, it really depends on the market out there, like you've said too, and things like that, and jobs, you know, opportunity. If there's lack of that, then that can also constitute it. There's always a reason behind people's situation, so you can't really judge too harshly nowadays, right?
Not at all. I hope people don't, because we're in a pandemic, you know. I can't afford 1.2 billion. Million.
Okay, so my next question for you is, what is the positive in living with your parents, or, you know, for young adults living at home? Like, what are a couple of things that, you know, in case they feel badly for living at home, like what's something to make them feel like, hey man, it's not that bad? You know, what advice would you like to give?
Well, considering you and I are very close with our parents, mm-hmm. it's so nice that you have that time to spend with them, because, you know, parents raised you, they loved you, and they're getting older. Mm-hmm. So it's nice to have quality time with them too. But I think it also eases burdens. Like, I know for me, I work 2 days a week, and I know just because I had school and stuff, if I didn't, right, mm-hmm. and I was on my own, I would be stressed all the time. Mm-hmm. Thinking of things like, I gotta pay this, I gotta do this, I have no food to eat. Mm-hmm. So I think living at home generally is like easier for you to be able to go on, because it's not as stressful as it would be living by yourself. Like, that's a perk.
Yeah.
Again, like, kudos to all them who live on their own, like, who do this, because I could never. I probably won't. But, I mean, like, it's just easy enough to know that I can come home. I don't have any bills to pay this week that are thousands of dollars. I can easily just relax on a couch and not have to worry about if I got to leave this couch here when I move the next time. Like, it's just like the burdens and stresses, I think, are easier. Like, you don't feel them as much when you live with your parents.
That's true. I like to, like, being able to help family and such. I like that I'm able to, I feel like I can do more if I'm here. If I was living on my own, I'm probably going to be like, I'm too busy, like, doing my own stuff. But it's like, since I'm here, I'm able to just get up and do it because I'm living with them. But also, I just hope, because I've been getting the whole back and forth about, like, whether or not this is stopping us from really developing that independence or us becoming responsible because we are not living on our own. And I mean, what are certain ways, that's another question I want to pose for you, what are certain ways for us to start practicing that kind of behavior of, like, being independent and taking responsibility? Like, is it something that we're maybe supposed to not look at it as, like, oh, our parents told us, but, like, just take full responsibility, like, really act like we're living on our own, like we're doing things without our parents telling us to do it? Thinking about it, because I was talking to my mom and she's like, this is, like, what happens when you're on your own. Like, you have to plan your day. And, like, you even mentioned how, when we get to stay home, the positive is, like, we can just sit on the couch and, like, chill, because it's like everybody has their part or their role in the house. So it's like you kind of know who's doing what, who's what. But, like, when you're on your own, it's really all on you. And in my mind, I'm thinking, well, if I was living on my own, I'd probably come home and just sit down first. I wouldn't just start supper. But then, everybody's different. And I don't know, my mom just saw it as a way where it's like, well, when you live on your own, like, you have to be looking at bills. You have to also be looking at, like, getting your laundry done. And I'm like, okay, well, living at home, I will say, I'll put myself on the block. I don't be going up, getting up to get laundry done 24/7. I do occasionally, but that's kind of just, like, sometimes it's just taken care of, for me, and I just sit and do something else, but I guess I think I would challenge those who live at home to really, like, maybe take everything on for a day and just see if that gives them a little tidbit of it. But I think it's impossible unless you're living on your own. That's when you'll really feel the whole gist of it, because when you think of it, I don't think I feel that nervousness or, like, independence thing of, like, living on my own, because I don't feel too much is on my plate, like, too much responsibility.
I agree.
But then at the same time, does that mean we're missing out? Does that mean we're really not independent and we thought we were? Because when people are, like, adulting, I'm there like, yeah, I'm adulting too. Like, I'm driving, getting groceries, doing errands, whatever. But it's like, that's not enough. Like, that's not really being an adult, I guess. So I guess, have we reached that, or are we still in training?
I think it depends, because right now, if I found an apartment to rent for $1,400, and I made substantially enough to get there, and because I have a fiance and he makes enough, we could put it together. I would probably, I hate saying it because I will never, but if I had the opportunity, like, if someone was like, hey, you could live right next to your parents because I'm close with them, for $1,400 and they could be right beside you, would you do it? I'd say yeah, because I think me being at home has prepared me, for the cleaning and the laundry and paying bills, even, because I know that's a thing. Like, obviously it's a thing, paying bills, but I know that's going to be a burden. So I would be like, okay, well, this is what I got to do. This is the bills I got to pay. Is there internet? Is there, hydro? Like, all these things I know I would have to pay, my car. So I don't think it hinders us. I think I just, like I said, depending on the situation, I think it gets you ready for when you're actually going to go.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
No,
I think it's a preparing.
Yeah, I like that. Well, thank you, love, for joining us and sharing your opinion. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me, as always. I love it.
And you're welcome anytime. And you have a great day. Thank you so much. At the end of the day, we are all going through this journey called life. We all are growing and learning different things at different paces. So we may all not be living on our own when we hit 18, like some others may be doing. but we are growing. And all I can say is, from what I've learned in the discussions with my co-host today about, adulting, is just that it's all comes down to taking the initiative and taking responsibility for your actions, and more so, you taking that step and getting things done for you and your family. I think that's adulting at its best, because there are some family out there who have their parents come and live with them, and it's not the other way around, and they're still adulting. They're still taking responsibility for their family and their kids and things like that, and on top of that, their parents. So I think regardless if you are living on your own or with others, it's all about, it all comes down to you and how you handle the situation and what you do into taking care of things and yourself. So that's how I view it. But thank you guys for listening. This was all just a fun discussion I wanted to have, and let me know what you guys think about adulting. Let us know down below. Comment down below. Let us know what you think about adulting. Is it seen that way for you guys? If you're still living at home, do you feel like you're an adult? Or do you have to live on your own just to feel that independence, to really truly believe you're an adult? Let me know down below. I'm actually curious. And, thank you guys so much once again for listening. It's been so much fun, and I really appreciate you guys who keep tuning in. You guys are amazing. Now, if you like what you heard, click that like button and subscribe button for more. Thank you guys once again. And remember to follow us on all the social media platforms that are in the links down below. And you can listen to this podcast on Spotify, YouTube, Anchor, Apple, you name it, we're there. And remember to spread positivity always. And regarding that, let's get into our shout out, our Brit Positive shout out. And we're shouting out Positive Forward Motion. They're all about positivity, of course, and I couldn't help but just want to show some positivity back to them. So you guys check out their page on Instagram. They're amazing. And once again, you guys, thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time. Bye.